Yo, what's that? Do a trick. Oh, you mean like hopping on the back wheel? Yeah, do something cool. I mean, yeah, but how is that gonna help you on the trail at all? What do you mean? You know there's like 800 videos on YouTube of exactly that. What if I could teach you some stuff that would actually benefit your trail riding? Wait, aren't you that guy from YouTube? Let's do it. What kind of parking lot tricks can you do on your mountain bike? Actually, let me rephrase that. Which parking lot tricks are you doing on your mountain bike that will impact your riding once you get out on the trail in a positive way? My name is Aaron Lutzi, and when I was in high school, I was the shortest kid in class and I couldn't keep up with my friends when it came to riding on the trail. I turned to trials to develop my technical riding ability, and that gave me a leg up on all my friends when it came out to riding. I started catching them and passing them because I could ride the really hard stuff that they couldn't. What I hope to do for you is to give you some of the basics that I learned so that you can implement it in your riding and have a way better time out on the trail, improve your riding, gain confidence, all that great stuff that's gonna make you a better, well-rounded rider. Before we get into the movements, I wanna talk a little bit about how my bike is set up. And the overall theme here is that my bike is set up exactly how it's gonna be when I'm riding through technical sections on the trail. My suspension is open and my seat is dropped. Now for the suspension, if you're struggling to learn any of the movements I'm about to go through, feel free to lock it out so you get the basics in place. But the overall goal is to learn these moves with your suspension exactly how you'd be riding it on the trail. The other thing I mentioned, I have my seat slammed down all the way in the dropper post, and the reason for that is that I want it to be out of the way so I can move around as much as possible on the bike. When you ride technical sections, highly recommended to keep that thing down and out of the way so that you can move your bike around as much as possible. If you wanted to learn how to ride with the seat up, you absolutely could do that, but especially to start things off, just keep it down and out of the way. It'll save you a lot of grief. So that's how I've got all my stuff set up. Let's dive into all the techniques. The first parking lot practice I want to show you is front wheel placement. We're going to pivot on the rear wheel and we're going to move our front wheel around the parking lot. Imagine you're riding down the trail and you want to point and shoot after your front tire as you go down. You're holding your line and you're readjusting where your front tire goes by lifting it up and putting it in a new position. It's an easy redirect on the trail, and especially when you get into stuff like switchbacks, being able to lift up your front wheel and put it in a different direction makes all the difference in the world. So for this one, what you're going to do is lock your back brake. You're going to lean your body weight backwards and just focusing on moving the front tire maybe an inch or a half an inch in each direction. And you can use it to kind of keep your balance where you go a half inch to the right, then a half inch to the left, and you just go back and forth to try to maintain your balance. Then as you get more comfortable, you can go further with each front wheel hop until you can really move that thing around. Now that we've got our front wheel placement locked in, we're going to talk about rear wheel placement. This is the ultimate tool for switchbacks, the easiest way to move your back wheel around on the trail. What we're going to do on this one is do a small endo where you put your weight over the handlebars to unweight the back wheel, and then you're going to push your back foot against the rear triangle of the bike and it's going to move your back wheel around. Now the higher you pivot up onto the front wheel, the more time you're giving your back wheel to move around before it goes back down on the ground. One other tip I use for this one, especially for parking lot practice, I point my front wheel in the opposite direction that I want my back tire to go. So we're going to put these two techniques together in this third technique called the rock walk. It's another way to hold your balance in the bike without track standing or hopping in place. At first, you'll want to lean into this move and exaggerate all the movements, leaning forward and backward. But as you get confident and the muscle memory starts to kick in, you'll move around a lot less and still get the same basic result. Try utilizing this method to move sideways in each direction. Eventually, you'll be able to move around quite a bit with this technique, and there's a little room to add some flair to it as well. Next up, hopping in place. Not only is this a legit balancing technique, learning to hop the entire bike with your body can be super helpful when it comes time to reposition the bike. I practice hopping side to side to maintain my balance, and I also hop forward as well. This is related to a skill I talked about on our up and over uphill riding tutorial. A lot of people pick this up quickly when they clip in, but I recommend learning it on flat pedals as well. No need for giant hops, just start small and get your wheels off the ground, then build from there. This next parking lot technique is definitely a popular one. I have a full tutorial for this move, But what I want to explain here is that practicing endos in a parking lot will help you get comfortable in this position, which translates to riding down steep terrain with confidence. If you can get yourself comfortable in a controlled spot like the parking lot, it will make a huge impact when it comes to places where you're off camber, you're riding through dirt, and you're riding at speed. The Trackstand is arguably the best parking lot practice for getting acquainted with your bike, geometry, and wheel placement. It also connects you directly with your pedals and drivetrain, as the real secret to track standing is pedal pressure. Track standing is not locking your brakes and balancing as long as you can. It's a movement where your wheels move back and forth to balance your body movement. Your pedal pressure keeps the bike in check, and the front brake stops the bike from getting away from you. The best way to learn track stands is to find an immovable object and push your front wheel into it. Balance in that position until you get confident and comfortable leaning into the object with your front wheel. What you'll do next is release both brakes and keep pressure on the pedals so the front wheel stays on the object. You can release the pedal pressure and backpedal a little just to come away from the object, then push the pedals to put your front wheel back into it. This is the key element for the move, and to do it on flat ground without an obstacle to lean on, think of your front brake as the replacement for that obstacle. Just push your pedals and grab your brake to kind of simulate that same thing of putting your front wheel into that immovable object. This is a quick rundown of the Trackstand, but I do have a full Trackstand tutorial on this channel, and I highly recommend you check it out. This is a real quick primer on it, but digging into the nuance of the Trackstand and really understanding your bike control, your wheel placement, and how your body and pedals react to those things is really important. Definitely recommended that you dive into the Trackstand tutorial after you're done watching this one. I get it. These are not the most advanced techniques when it comes to riding, but these are the fundamentals that will give you confidence on the bike, that will give you control over your bike, which will help your wheel placement and everything else that you're doing on trail. All these things are the things that have helped me out as a rider along the way, and they're way better than learning how to wheelie or back wheel hop. So there's a whole playlist full of stuff like this in the channel. I would actually encourage you to start with the Trackstand tutorial, because that will help you with everything when it comes to being on the bike. But feel free to dive in as deep as you want. If this is helpful for you, please consider subscribing to the channel. There's a lot more tutorials on the way. There's a lot more bike riding coming your way as well. Progress with us, it'll be a good time. For now, dive into that Trackstand tutorial and let's get after it.